One of the first decisions you have to make when you're in business is how are you going to manage your record keeping. Today, I'm going to cover that and give you some of the key options that you have to choose between. Hello everyone, my name is Rooshock and today is all about record keeping for small businesses. So this is probably targeted at businesses that want to do their own record keeping and then send that on to their accountant at the end of the year or each quarter to get their bats done depending on their own situation. So I'm going to go through some of the key options that you have and what needs to go into your decision making when making this really important decision for your small business. And if you don't get this right, it affects everything. Not only does it affect your BAS returns if you're registered for GST and your tax returns, but it also affects your business decision making. If you don't have accurate records, how are you going to make accurate business decisions based on your actual numbers? So it's a really important decision to nail how am I going to keep my records and then make sure you keep them accurately. I think the key thing in making this decision on how you're going to track your income and expenses is what are you looking to get out of it, why do you need to do it, and what's the minimum requirements for your country, for your situation. So you want to look at things like, what do I need to provide on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, an annual basis? So if you're here in Australia, you're going to have to do an annual tax return. So you know you need to be able to present your information in a way that will allow you to get the tax return done. If you're registered for GST, then you'll need to make sure that you've got your information in a way where you can do the quarterly GST return. So that will be your quarterly BAS, your business activity statement. So again, when you're making your decision on your record keeping, do you have the ability to handle this? And then it's probably going to be things like payroll on a monthly basis, potentially depending on how much you've got, or processing pay runs on a regular basis. These are decisions that a business would need to understand so that when they make the decision on how they're going to keep these records, that they go, yeah, this ticks all the boxes of the requirements for legal purposes that I need to meet. And then the other things are like business reporting. Do you need to report to any other business bodies or an insurance company or anything like that on a regular basis? Maybe you're a franchise owner and you have to report to the franchisor. Like, they're some of the decisions that may influence how you keep your records. And then of course the final one is just you running your business. What do you want to get out of your record keeping? Some people don't care and they just want to comply with those legal things and they couldn't care less about any of the other records. I definitely don't advise that. I think knowing your business is very important, but that may be what suits you. Or some people want to know the ins and outs of everything. So that's more me. I love to know all the numbers, how it's influencing my business, what departments of my business are doing well, etc. So I like to have a system where I can keep really detailed records. So understanding what you want out of your records is really important as well. So I'm going to talk about two main options here. I'm going to talk about Xero, so accounting software, and I'm going to mainly talk about Xero, but you can substitute that for other QuickBooks or anything like that. And then I'm going to talk about Spreadsheets, and then I will touch on some of the other methods I've seen people use over time. But let's start with Xero. So Xero is accounting software, and I definitely recommend it to all of my clients. Some people don't want it. They want something just really basic and they don't want it. But I think Xero really does suit anyone, from real small businesses that are just starting out to something much more established. And the great thing about it is easy to learn and it's been built with the end user in mind. So it's been built with language that makes sense for small business owners. It is also really good for accountants. So I love using it because I can produce all the end of year financial statements in it and it's all in one spot so the clients can see the same data that I'm seeing. So that's a really key thing with Xero. Now Xero does come with a cost, but the cost isn't overly expensive if you look at it from a sake of, well, how much time am I going to save on this? So that's one of the key things is like, well, how long do I want to spend on my record keeping? Yes, it comes with a cost, but it's going to save me time that I can then spend on my business rather than doing the record keeping. One of the other key pros with Xero is the reporting. You can do up-to-date reports at any time, which is really great to know where your business is at. As I discussed earlier, this is one of the key features that I like. I can customize reports. I can run them on a daily, weekly, monthly basis and have a great understanding of where my business is at all times. I do think Xero makes it efficient, as I've just said. I don't think the cost is too expensive. You can integrate with your accountant, which is really good, and it's easy to learn. So all of those things combined make a lot of positives for Xero. So I think if you're looking into it, go and do a free trial and see if it suits your business, because I think in most cases you'll go, yes, it does, or even look at some of the other accounting options out there. Now it does have a few cons. It does come with a cost. So some of these other methods I'm going to talk about may be free or close to free. So it does have a cost. And like I said, I think it's justifiable. If you're not really good with computers or have very limited knowledge of accounting, you may struggle to pick it up to start with. Even though I think it is basic and learnable for all people, it may come with some challenges. One of the other cons is if you're relying on it for reporting, if you don't get it right and don't have the reconciling right, or maybe you've put some journals in that aren't correct, then you may be relying on data that's not correct. So that's one of the risks when people do their own record keeping, is that they may go, yes, we're making a profit, but maybe they're actually not because of the way they've reconciled. Or they go, oh, we're making a loss, but they've actually put personal expenses in there, etc. Maybe then they stuff up their BAS return, and then at the end of the year, they've got all these refunds that they've got that they shouldn't have got, etc. So that is the risk when you're doing your own record keeping, and that applies to all methods, but in particular software, is sometimes it can give you a false perception that everything's going to be correct. The other key option I want to discuss today was spreadsheets. So whether you're using Excel or Google Sheets or any other kind of spreadsheet provider, spreadsheets can be a great option to run your business and track your income and expenses. The great thing about the spreadsheet option is it's close to free. Depending on what you're using, it's pretty much close to free, and it's definitely going to be cheaper than the accounting software. So that is a key thing that people like, especially when they're starting out, is they go, okay, it's very little cost or no cost, and therefore they're happy to trial it and see if it can fit their business at the time. Spreadsheets can be as complex or as basic as you need it. So they can have a lot of functionality, but at a basic, they are very easy to learn. If you're just tracking your income expenses, it may be just, all right, I'm going to list every bit of income I've got for the month, every bit of expense, maybe have it in a few columns so you can categorize things, and that may be the basics that you do. So it can be great for people that are just starting a small business. Maybe they're not sure how big this business is going to go, and they just want to track it for the first 3 to 12 months kind of thing and see how things are going. And a spreadsheet can be great for you to do that. They can also be great for people that want something really highly customized. So I've got some clients that they actually don't use accounting software because they've got really complex spreadsheets that suit their business. So that may be a bit of a contradiction, thinking that, oh, it's really good for basics, and it can be really good for advanced. So understanding how your skill set will be able to be implemented in Excel or Google Sheets is really vital to knowing how complex you can actually handle the spreadsheet. Now, there definitely are some cons to spreadsheets. Like I said, they aren't as easy to pull reporting out, for instance. Is that unless you've got a really complex spreadsheet, you may not be able to run profit and loss reports regularly, etc. So that can be one of the downsides, is it can be a little bit hard to know exactly where your business is at, especially if your balance sheet and stuff isn't reconciled on the spreadsheet. You can be making decisions based on half a picture, not the full picture. Spreadsheets are also limited to the user's ability. You could have a really complex spreadsheet that's got some really good formulas, but maybe somehow you accidentally go and delete one of those formulas, and then you don't know how to fix it. So that can definitely be an issue with a spreadsheet, that it's great if you're using all of its abilities, but sometimes they can get muddy and a bit complex on how to actually use them, especially if you're not an expert on Excel or Sheets. And something else with spreadsheets is sometimes people forget to update them. Where I find Xero, people go in, they reconcile their bank feed on a regular basis. People can go, oh yeah, I'll update my spreadsheet, update it, and then they forget, and then they go back in, and they can't remember where they're up to, and it's not as easy as a bank feed like it is in Xero. So the spreadsheet is, again, a bit like the software. It only gets out what you put into it. So you need to put the accurate information into it. And it's a lot easier to make a mistake when you're manually data entry versus something that's got an automatic system like a bank feed and an accounting software. Now, there definitely are other options you can use for record keeping. People will use pen and paper. I've still seen people that write down all their income, all their expenses on pen and paper. They keep it in a book. There's the old ledger books that some people use. Or some people will literally just keep all their receipts, like store them in a Google Drive or a Dropbox, and then at the end of the year, flick them onto their account, depending how big their business is. It all comes down to, how big's your business, how seriously are you taking it, and what do you want to get out of it as to which method works best. I really recommend looking into accounting software at least to see if it will suit your business. So have a chat to your accountant about something like Xero. See if that would suit your business. Try a free trial. It doesn't cost you anything to do a free trial, and you may go, this is really great for me, or might go, hey, this is maybe a little bit more complex, a real basic spreadsheet works for me now. And don't be afraid to change if you feel like something's not working, but don't change just because your accountant told you if you're happy with the method and you know it's meeting all the boxes that you need to meet. If you're a small business owner, drop a comment down below on what method you use. Is it spreadsheets? Is it software? Or are you using something else? Let me know, and then go and check out some of the other small business content I've got on my channel. I appreciate you watching, and I'll talk to you again on the next video.